Round 14 was a season-defining match for Subiaco. They had to defeat East Fremantle if they were to keep their final 4 chances alive. The Sharks 3 games clear of Subiaco, sitting in 4th spot. The Lions do have a game in hand on East Fremantle, which meant that if they're able to clinch today with a win, they were going to get very, very close to East Fremantle indeed and breathe life into season 2011. Well, the match started with the Sharks taking the upper hand right from the very start. They were getting a lot more of the ball in the midfield, led by Dalziel and Marston. Some of their big names were getting big possessions. Kobe Stevens and the like in the midfield were giving East Fremantle plenty of opportunity. Michael Warren up forward was creating something of a target. The big man underrated in his performances at WAFL level, and Brock O'Brien snapping the goal there, sitting second on the leading goal kickers list. Subiaco were able to stay in touch. They were working hard. Kyle Horsley was giving them plenty in the midfield. They were making opportunities for their forwards, but apart from Alistair Pickett, they just weren't taking enough of their opportunities. They were staying in touch with East Fremantle. The Sharks led by 15 points at quarter time and by 9 points at half-time. The Sharks' inaccuracy was really keeping Subiaco's chances alive. Houlihan there combining with Michael Warren again, creating an easy goal for Leith Teakle. In the ruck, Michael Ricks was leading the way, as he did for Western Australia last week in the state game. Kobe Stevens, coming back from the West Coast Eagles duties, was playing a stirring game as an on-baller, kicking a great goal there. Subiaco, as I mentioned, staying in the match, but in the second half they really did turn things around. We're not too sure exactly what Chris Waterman may have said to them at half-time, but the Lions came out a totally different side. They had to contend with the good form still of players like Brad Dalziel, kicking long goals on the run. But the Subiaco, they just kept closing the margin. Pat Hassett, we see running through the midfield there, was a damaging player, and it was all about Ali Pickett in the second half. His 5 goals for the day was one of the highlights, and of course he kicked 3 of those in a third quarter, which really turned the game. Subiaco were on fire, led by Ali Pickett. Ben Keever's coming off the half back line, a good player all day, and as long as they kept feeding the ball into the area of Alistair Pickett, Subiaco were always going to be a chance. East Fremantle would not be denied. They're a good side, but today they were not on song. They had 3 or 4 opponents on Ali Pickett, but none of them was really able to curtail him. And Subiaco, in the end, enjoyed their success because they extended a 19-point three-quarter time lead to 23 points at the end, and really led by that magnificent goal there, Blake Broadhurst's best of his 4. As we look at the quarter-by-quarters, as I mentioned, it was a 15-point lead to East Fremantle at quarter time. At the long break, they led by 9 points, a different game because it was a different Subiaco that turned up after half-time. They turned it around by 28 points to lead by 19 at three-quarter time, and then ran out winners 16 goals, 104 to 11-15-81, a great 23-point victory to Subiaco. Next week, we travel out to Brown Stadium. We'll be on air at 2 o'clock. The round 15 match of the day between Perth and Swan Districts promises to be a terrific game.